Hello there. This is the G19 Glock 9mm handgun. In the Glock world, this is actually considered a compact model, but as you can see, it's combat ready. It's pretty much full size. It's just like the G17, except the barrel's about that much shorter. I think the G17 would be right about out there. I'm going to show you how to safely handle and hold a firearm and how you should do various things with it. I am not an expert by any means. I've had some training with firearms. I did security officer training in the state of Florida for the D license, which is unarmed security officer license, and then the G also, which is armed officer training. But also I've learned from other people that I've met along my journeys and travels with the military and Marines, and I've pretty much stored all the information up in the old noggin and try to make myself a better gun owner and protector of innocent life, which I am. And I'm going to show you, first things first, this is the G19, combat ready. It's got access to lots of firepower. Each magazine has 15 round capacity. You can load 15 rounds in, put in your magazine, rack back the slide. One will go up in the chamber, live in the chamber, take the magazine back out, put the extra bullet back in, and you have 16 rounds. So this is a super duper handgun, and I'm going to show you some things that I've learned. First of all, you can go online. There's plentiful information about the 4 rules of gun safety, and I like the 5 rules, which you mentioned the aiming in 2 different ways. But basically, the 4 or 5 rules of gun safety. The number 1 on the list is treat every firearm as it is loaded. And I understand what they mean. In other words, you don't know until you physically check it yourself. I say take the word treat out and just say all firearms are loaded until you yourself inspect this handgun, remove the magazine, rack back the slide, and lock the slide open to make sure that there's no ammunition in the weapon. I'm going to show you how to do that. On a Glock handgun, you've got the mag release right here. As you can see on the Gen 4, there's also a little slot here, so if you're left-handed, you can actually remove this from this side, slide it in on this side, and your mag release will be on this side. I am right-handed, so this is my dominant hand for handguns. I actually know how to hold it both ways, because and part of my training was also, if you ever got injured and this hand became not usable, it is actually good to know how to do the windshield wiper maneuver, which I'm going to show you these things later. Let's do first things first. Let's take the magazine out. So here's what we'll do. I'll show you. Simple as that. Mag release. You remove that. You rack back the slide. And then you inspect it. And make sure there is nothing in the weapon. Let's put that back. Okay. First things first. The safe way to hold a firearm. Because one of the rules you also see if you look them up is you never put your finger on the trigger. But what do we all do? If you're not used to handling a firearm, more often than not, when you grab a handgun, your little fingers want to go in that hole and grab the gun that way. The danger of that is you could accidentally squeeze it and then it could fire. Of course now it's empty, so it's not going to happen. But I'm going to show you just little things you can do. I mean, you can do in your mind, just instead of loser, just remember you got the L shape right here. You're going to put the beaver tail right here. That's why I like using this back strap, by the way. When you get your new Glock, it comes with several back straps. This is the medium one for my hand size, and it's got the beaver tail. And I think that's also good because when you're grabbing your handgun, especially in the heat of battle or when you really need it, you want to know that if you put your hand right in there, it's where it's supposed to be. And it's going to keep your hand safe from the slide action, right? But you see my finger goes right to the side, along the side of the weapon. And the other way to do it is you can just get used to using your thumb on this side, your finger on this side. That's your primary point of contact with your hand, other than your 3 little fingers coming around for grip, okay, which they will naturally want to do. But the big thing is to keep that finger off the trigger, and you will always be safe, because you never, ever, ever want to put your finger on this trigger until you're punched out on target and you've got a lawful target, right? And look how easy it is to go to the trigger. The Glock is made very well. It's got that heavy, deep cut in. So when you're along the side of the weapon, it is easy to get on and off the trigger. I'm doing terrible when the trigger pulls up, but you want to actually be very gentle with your hand. Also, another thing to remember is this is your strong hand. So if you're going in a holster, I don't have my holster on right now, but you will actually, when you're drawing your weapon alongside, you're going to just simply remove your firearm just so it clears, just enough to clear the holster. So it's going to take some practice to get used to that. That's why you should dry fire your pistol. So basically you're going to rotate your hand 90 degrees, right? So in other words, here I am, out of your holster, rotate 90 degrees, right? Out of your holster, rotate 90 degrees. Out of your holster, rotate 90 degrees, right? Get used to that. Now what happens with this hand? Well, this hand is your support hand. It's called your weak side. Unless you're left-handed, then it'll be the opposite. What's the support hand do? It supports. So if you look on the weapon, you have a lot of open area here on the gun. There's no meat there, but look, you got a nice meaty thumb right here. This goes right in there comfortably, and it gives support to your other hand. And when you're feeling it, I'm overemphasizing, but like it's like this feeling from both sides contact, which give you that comfortable feeling. And everybody's grip is different. You're going to just grip what's comfortable for you. My fingers go just nice, just like this. My thumb stays alongside of the weapon. It's out of the way of the slide. It's not near the trigger. My finger isn't, nor my thumb. And I feel very comfortable like that. If you look at my grip, this is over my middle finger. There's a nice little finger groove between the knuckle. And then this one has a finger groove. My little pinky just happy wrapping around. It finds its own way there. And I'm very happy with that. So that's how you hold the weapon. Okay? Be very quick to draw your weapon, and get, if you need to. In other words, when the threat happens or occurs, you're defending life and property. So you're actually preserving your life. That's what this gun does. To law-abiding people, we do not use this to kill anybody. We use this to justifiably preserve our life, which is the right and lawful self-defense that every human being has a right to. And in the United States of America, we have the right to keep and to bear arms. And a lot of people don't realize that keeping them is fine and dandy, but bearing them is the key part. And I think that we as a country have gone so far from that, that they make it so difficult, that make people feel guilty, and that you shouldn't have a firearm. I think if everybody was armed, I think sure there'd be people getting shot more, but then there'd be people arrested more, and then there'd be people going to jail for life more. And it actually would go through a cycle where people realize you cannot show this firearm for a disagreement at a restaurant. You cannot bring out the firearm because you think someone's hair's parted funny, or they disagree with you politically. This comes into play when a forcible felony is happening against you. That's armed robbery, that's burglary, that's home invasion burglary, that is treason, that is carjacking, airplane hijacking, sexual battery. If someone was to take a bomb and throw it at you, or an explosive device, if a group of people came at you, even with just with a bare fist, okay? Most favorite word in the law, when it says about using deadly force, right in the law in the state of Florida, it says, or great bodily harm. So if you have a reasonable fear of imminent death, which means you most certainly will die, that's when you're allowed to legally elevate your force to deadly force if necessary. And it also says, or great bodily harm. You know what great bodily harm is? Someone hit a baseball bat on my leg, and I gotta walk like this the rest of my life. Someone hit me in the head with a bat, and I gotta be goofy the rest of my life. All right? I might be goofy now, but I don't want to be more goofy. So I have the right of self-defense. I have the right to use my firearm. A non-trivial scar where they mark me from stem to sternum. That's under the law that you're allowed to protect and preserve your life. So here I am. I got my gun. I'm ready to go. These are things you can do to learn how to feel comfortable holding your firearm. Now, of course, I'm going to show you how to field strip a Glock, which is one of the easiest ones. You don't need any tools. You just need your two bare hands and some common sense. So basically we got that down. Now here's another thing. If you are drawing from a holster, another danger people have is this hand, your weak hand, sometimes wants to do something. If you're not consciously telling this hand to do something, you're going to grab your gun, and this hand might come over for some reason and try to help you. And it's bad news for this hand to get involved at all over here. Because look, I'm off balance. I'm like this. If I pull my weapon, I'm like this. That's not good. And also, your hand could be in the way, and you could actually blow your fingers off. So here's the best thing to do. High and center of chest, right? If you like doing it this way, just train yourself to keep this weak hand, your support hand, out of the way of this firearm anytime you're grabbing it. Because you're going to take it out of your holster, and it's out. This hand's never in the way. It's out of the way. You have your knees slightly bent, almost like a fighting stance or a baseball, sports stance. You want to be at the ready. You want to be alert. Okay, you're going to do that. Then what are you going to do? You're going to bring your support hand down, and it's going to support, and you're going to punch out on target. Okay? And then when the threat's eliminated, you're going to still be looking for other threats. Make sure. I'm always aware of my surroundings as I carry. As you look on YouTube or videos, you'll see that the criminals always come from your blind side a lot of times. So when you carry a firearm, you actually learn to be more aware of your surroundings. And everybody should be keenly aware, especially in a dark or not well-lit area. You shouldn't be in a place like that, but if you find yourself in a place like that, always look around and listen. Use all of your senses. Smell. I can't tell you how many times I can tell if there's a smoker. My neighbor smokes, and I know that he's outside. Just by walking to my window, because I don't smoke, I can tell if there's a smoker hanging around my house. That's because I'm aware of my surroundings. So, it's things like that. Now, also, what was I going to tell you? Oh, about the trigger pull. This is called a safe action pistol. If you look really closely, there's a little curious little lever that's part of the trigger that just kind of moves independently of the rest of the trigger. If I pull from the sides, this trigger is locked. It will not shoot. Since the Glock has no safety, this is like the safe action part of the Glock. It's this little lever which only a human finger can actually touch and enables you to pull the trigger. Now think about this. The Glock doesn't have a safety, so it's ready to go. Until you get very good at your skills, which means you know never to put your finger on the trigger, and you're at the point where every time you grab your gun, it's just like that. You're not even thinking about it. It's second nature. You're grabbing your gun and you're like this. You're grabbing your gun, you're just like this. Grabbing your gun, you're just like this. You've trained yourself to hold it with the thumb and the forefinger. Bring these others around. You never put your finger on the trigger because there's no target. When you're punched out on target, that's the only time, if and when you have a target that's legal and justifiable, then your finger gets on the target. So, another feature, the trigger has a 5.5 pound pressure pull. So this trigger actually is harder to pull on the first pull of the trigger. However, so you got 5.5 pounds, right? So if you get good at pulling the trigger, what you have to do is with a Glock, the first pull is 5.5 pounds. However, if I come back off of the trigger very slowly, you listen for this click. About halfway. See, you hear that? That little click? Now, that second pull of the trigger is only 1 to 2 pounds of pressure. I'll do it again. I pulled 5.5 pounds of pressure for the first pull. Come out just halfway. It clicks. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, all the way up to 16 fire rounds will be a 1 to 2 pound pull of your trigger. Another thing to learn about revolver guys. Revolver guys will say these can malfunction. You should only use a revolver, especially people who aren't proficient with the use of weapons. And there's some truth to what they're saying, but what really you find out is, from people that I rely upon and people I've learned from, is this is the most reliable combat-ready weapon you could ever have in your arsenal. It's the best for self-defense because you're going to miss 70 to 80 to 90% if you're terrible at shooting, and you want extra ammo. And you hear these other people that go, well, I only need 5. Yeah, right. Well, I've got 16, so I can miss a hell of a lot more and still win the day, and I'll be alive. So that's the point of having a Glock. The other thing, what I've been told is the misfires, the jams, right? The stovepiping of the the shells and things, of the casings. Almost every time. I would say almost every time. Because I don't want to say something definitive like every single time, but it's very much the case that anytime it happens in a semi-automatic rifle, it is the human interaction with this rifle that caused it to happen. And I'll tell you a couple of things right off the bat. If you're using old magazines, let's say you got the gun used, and this gun is 10 years old, and the guy shot off 150,000 rounds, this magazine springs in here, while they're very good, you do need to replace your magazines eventually. I mean, if you feel it, then it's not hard to load the bullets. They just go down real easy. The springs are getting old. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is a very curious and amazing device. It should be in the Guinness World Book of Records. It probably is. But when you fire off a bullet, another one just goes right up automatically into position. And it kind of does this little wiggle. I don't know if it's like this, but I've seen it, on schematics and things. And I've seen an actual working one that you can see through. So it kind of goes like this. Well, if this magazine that you're using has an old spring, it's going to put up the bullet like this maybe, and it won't do that little dance where it's lined up perfectly. So it's like this. It's going to get jammed, or it's going to stovepipe. Okay, that's your first mistake. The other thing people don't realize is, don't be a wimp. Okay, when I'm at the range or I'm doing my dry fire skills tests and things that I do at my house, I put my magazines on the left side, and I put them in such a way that they're angled this way, right? So when you grab them, they're going to be right here. Okay, you're just going to go right in, and then you're going to go like that. So there's no twisting and turning of your hands. You're just going to grab it, put it in, go like that. See how I did that with some vim and vigor? Okay, there's no harm in doing that. That's how you put it in. If you don't give it a good push, that's another reason. The magazine's not seated properly. Did you ever close your door? And it's happened many ways, but maybe you just forgot. You thought your keys were in there in the old days. Now I have keyless entry, but you go up, and then you almost stop closing the door, but then it gets away from your hand, and it kind of closes and goes click, and then it's ajar like this, and you can't open it because it's actually locked, but it's not quite closed. That's what happens. If you don't do this, you know what I mean? Like you mean it, it doesn't seat properly. Okay, let me do this. I've been messing with that. And then that's the other thing, the racking back of the slide. Very simple thing of doing that, okay? If done improperly, will cause the gun to misfire or to not behave properly. And really, the thing is, when you're pulling back, any motion the other way, like if you hold on to it and come back this way, or you're pushing it back this way in any way whatsoever, is going to mess up with the mechanism. I say, think of a slingshot. When you're a little kid, you pull the slingshot back, you let it go, right? You went, let it go. If for some reason you kind of held on to it for a second, you misfired a little, it wouldn't go right? Archery, you pull that thing back, you let it go, it goes. If you guide it a little bit and it doesn't work right. So with this, when you rack back the slide, you just pull it one way, like that. And you do it with some vim and vigor. See, I didn't do it right, but that's how you do it. You go, that's it. And speaking of that, until your skills are down, I would not ever go with one in the chamber. And I'm saying this for your safety's sake and for your life, because unless you're very confident in yourself and that you're not going to have your finger on the damn trigger when you draw your weapon, especially if you're doing it, when you're doing it, it's going to be when your life's on the line. You're going to be scared, sweating, your heart's going to be beating, and what can happen is if you have one live in the chamber, it's ready to go. So any pull of this trigger is going to make it shoot. So here's what happens a lot of times, and people die this way. You pull your gun out, you put your finger on the trigger as you're pulling it, and it shoots right through your hip, goes down through your leg and out, which normally be okay, through and through, right? But it just so happens to sever your femoral artery. You will surely, most assuredly, die. Unless you're lucky enough to being robbed in front of an emergency care center, where they've got, emergency 911s right there. You will not live. So I'll show you the difference, though, while not carrying a bullet in the chamber. There's people that go, I never carry a bullet around in the chamber. I think that's even more stupid, because if you do train and you do get better and better at handling the gun, you're going to know what your skills are. Like when I first fired a gun, remember the guy telling me, grip it like it owes you money. And that's what I'm telling you, grip it like it owes you money. There's no fault in gripping it too tight until you know what the recoil is going to be, because there's going to be a recoil when you fire it. If you're holding it loosely, it could come out of your hand. It could hit you in the head. The least of which it'll be off target. So grip it like it owes you money when you're out on target at the range, right? You don't have to do that when you're at the range, because every time you shoot, another bullet goes in, and it'll keep firing until you run out of bullets, and then your gun's going to look like this. And here's another thing that could save your life. Around real quick. That I'm going to get into speed reload and retention reload, which are things probably the military should learn, but as a citizen, you should also know, because God forbid, if your life's on the line, you should know the difference between a speed reload and a retention reload, and when and where to use them. I'll talk about that in a second. It's awesome, by the way. But yeah, when you're using your firearm, if you're not confident with your skills, that your finger's always going to be alongside of the weapon, never carry one in the chamber. Once you get good at it and you're confident at it, anyone that's their life is to protect another person. Let's say they're a bodyguard, they're sworn to uphold, let's say someone works for the FBI, they're protecting the dignitaries or the president himself, or even just movie stars. There's jobs you can get where you're a hired bodyguard. Matter of fact, the most popular one is female, believe it or not. Female bodyguards down in South Beach, Florida, are more popular than male that are real big and strong and former Marines. They can be actually female former Marine, but if you're a female and you learn how to train with your firearm, you can have a career in South Beach, get good at it, and they may hire you to be a bodyguard for some of the movie stars down there, because it's unassuming. Girls can go out shopping. It looks like two women out together. If something were to go down, the one's got the gun and back off. See you later. Okay, but I'll show you the difference now with not having one in the chamber. What does that mean? That means you got, let's just say you have 15 rounds. You don't do the 15 plus 1. If you ever hear that term, 15 plus 1, that means what you do is you load 15 in here, you put your magazine in, you rack back the slide so that it goes up in there, okay? And then you've got one in the chamber. You now take the magazine back out, you get another bullet you have laying around, put that back in here, put the magazine back in, so you'll still have 15 in here plus 1 in the chamber. That's what that means. By the way, when I made sure that this gun was protected and safe, and I had it like this, okay? Even people that do instructional videos don't do it right sometimes. That's what I'm saying. The first thing you do is remove the magazine. Remove the magazine, then rack back the slide. The guy in the video that I saw, okay, imagine I've got the magazine in there right now. He racked back the slide first. He saw a bullet go out. He takes the magazine out. He thinks it's safe. He puts his gun like this, and thank God the guy in the video didn't shoot himself too badly. I think it shot his foot. He went, oh! It's kind of funny, but it hurt like hell. And he probably lost the use of part of his ligaments in his foot or something. But the thing is, it can happen to the best of us. So don't think it's funny or anything not to follow proper procedures and fundamentals when you're thinking about it. So this is the thing that feeds the gun, okay? If you remove this first, that's your first step, because this is what feeds it. Racking back the slide don't do shite, because all you're doing is you're cycling it. And if there's more bullets inside that magazine, it just puts another one in there. So when he did that and he saw the bullet go flying out, his mind goes, oh good, that's the one that's in the chamber. Now I'll take out the magazine. But he took out the magazine, there's still one in the chamber. So that's why you remove this first. I wanted to stress that earlier and I didn't. Then you rack back the slide with it empty. And then you'll see a bullet come out. Then you know it's empty. Then you open it up like that and you look inside and inspect it. And that's how you make sure that all guns are loaded until you yourself inspect it. Okay, I'll show you the difference between having one in the chamber. Let's suppose that I'm needing to draw my weapon and I have my holster right here. Too bad we can't just carry them openly, you know, but I think that'll come in Florida one day. I think we're very close to getting it. I do like having it concealed, because the bad side of having it open is you're the hard target, and if there's any bad guys, they see you with the weapon, they'll shoot you in the head first when you're just walking around, you know, and you don't realize there's a criminal planning a gig. So that's one bad thing about being open carry. But the good thing is it'd be easier to draw from your holster, because you just kind of, you're ready to go. But let me just pretend like you're going to need to draw your weapon. There's a forcible felony happening against you. It can actually happen against someone else. If I came upon a rape, I hope I never come upon a rape. I thought of a Benny Hill joke, but I won't say it. No, I better not. Now, there was an old joke. I think that the girl goes, grape, 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 and then the guy says, don't you mean rape? She goes, no, there was a bunch of them. Never mind. My mom says that's terrible. I don't even think it's funny. I just think it's clever. Anyway, yeah, if you came upon a woman being raped, you can actually draw your weapon and say, dude, get away from the girl, you bastard, or I'm firing. If he comes at you, you just shoot him. Okay, you're totally within your rights. But normally, you're safer when the forcible felony comes against you, because you can have the stand your ground law apply. You could have it apply in that case too, but as it gets further removed from the Castle Doctrine or the stand your ground law, which is completely protecting you, it's a jury trial. And once it's a jury trial, it can go either way. You can have yourself doing everything right. You can have people that are adamant against violence. You have people that are pacifists, which should be off of all juries, because if it's a case involving shooting and you're a pacifist, you can't give an unbiased opinion because you're a pacifist. You think there's never a need to have a weapon. Well, that's fine if you believe that. You're allowed to believe that in America, but you have to know that the law is such that in law, you can use weapons. If someone were to come in and start stabbing my mother, you better believe I'm going to stop that man from stabbing my mother. And if I have to pick up a pot and hit him over the head, hit him with a pull cue, grab a gun and shoot him in the face, or right here in the center of mass, until he stops doing it, that is your right under the law. And, there's no one to say anything different. So, but anyway, let's get back. You don't have a bullet in the chamber. You're not too good with your skills yet. You got a gun. You're glad to have it. You got 15 rounds. But remember, you've got to rack back the slide. So here we go. Uh-oh. Forcible felony time. Okay. Right? We'll see it again. Ready? Forcible felony time. That was worse. Okay. This is when you don't have one in the chamber. So you got to draw your weapon. And before you punch out a target, you got to rack back the slide. So it's an extra step. I'm just trying to show you. So you're going to go like this. You're going to go, uh-oh. Oh, my God. The guy's going to kill me. No, you're not. Right? Oh, no. The guy's going to kill me. And stuff like that happens, too. You forget what you're doing. You're like, oh, God, I gotta get a bullet in there. So you go, as you get better at it, you're going to go, you're going to come out. See, I did something wrong here. I'm not doing it too good. But see, this is why you do this kind of stuff. I'm trying to simulate the holster. It's kind of weird. But you got to go. But anyway, I'm trying to show you. You're bringing out your weapon. You're grabbing this slide. You're bringing your support hand back, and then you're going out on target, and then you're punching out on target, and then you're firing. Okay, now can you engage without punching on target? You can. And that's something you're going to have to decide depending on the threat. If the person is right here, you don't have to go like this, punch out on target. If he's like right here. So you're just going to grab your weapon, rack back the slide, and you can just go like this from here. But I would recommend getting your hand in there like you do, because you want that to be holding tight and then not hitting you in the face and also staying on target. So, and it's okay to practice one-arm shooting in the range as well, but you will see it's harder to aim, it's harder to stay on target. So, and that's all you're doing, is you're just making it easier for yourself by having your support hand. But you don't always have to have your support hand. You can engage from this position right here, and it's quite safe. Matter of fact, in the home, this is most likely how you're going to engage somebody. You're going to have your gun like this. You're not going to be like this, walking around the home. You bang into the walls and things. So you're going to be like this, and you're going to be going through your home, and then you're going to hear a sound. And then sometimes if it's an open room, you're just going to do that. I always like the punching out on target because I think it's better. It's better aim. Now here's the difference between if you have one in the chamber. Did you catch that? This is carrying a bullet in the chamber. Uh-oh, forcible felony. Uh-oh, forcible felony. I messed up. Uh-oh, forcible felony. I'm kind of getting bad. Uh-oh, forcible felony. That was a good one. Uh-oh, forcible felony. Uh-oh. I'm dead if I do that. Forcible felony. So you're seeing, it may not be a long amount of time, but if your life is on the line, being able just to draw your weapon and do that, even like from that position, down here, watch how quick it is. What's quicker than that? And by the way, I'm only doing one because I can only do one without bullets in it. If I had bullets in it, I could go bang, 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 as quick as my finger can go. So basically, I could just go bang, 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 bang. Right? And that guy's dead. That's what I'm saying. Guns win. Muscle is cool, but guns always win. It's a great equalizer. Right? So here we go. One in the chamber. I'm going to punch out on target this time. Okay? I want to do it like the regular. No. Bang, 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 bang. Do it from this angle. Oh no. Bang, 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 bang. Oh no. Bang, 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 bang. Oh no. Bang, 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 bang. Right? Once again, with the bullet in the chamber. Okay, engaging right here. One in the chamber. See how fast? Now look, engaging from here with no bullet in the chamber. See the difference? No bullet in the chamber. When your life's on the line, that little bit of, you know, especially, it's not only the timing, it's the fever, it's the emotion, it's the adrenaline, it's your life's on the line. So you may not do things as rational as I'm even doing now, and I'm trying to be scared and do it quick, and I'm messing up with not even a threat. So that's why it's always important to do these things. This is like called dry fire skills. So let's get into the speed reload. This is the fun stuff. Now, magazine of 15. Supposing I'm in a battle. I draw my weapon. I'll give you a scenario. Okay? I'm in a small town that I've never been in before. It's on the outskirts of civilization. Sounds like a scary movie. The light is well lit around the gas pump, but it's really dark around in the woods area. It's an open dirt road. There's not many people around. I think I noticed a truck parked behind the trees over there. I mean, it's nothing unusual. Until I'm ready to pump my gas and I hear the doors open. And it's behind me, of course. Like I said, criminals like to do. And I just look. And I see a guy getting out. And he starts yelling at me. And I see another guy hop out of the passenger side. He has a firearm. At least it looks like something. He's like, got something like this, you know. This is big time, right? And there's two things you can do. You can totally, they don't know that you're armed, right? So you could just totally go, you know, hey man, I don't want any trouble. You want my car? What the hell? You know, do you want money? I don't even have any money, but whatever you want. What do you know, just, or hey, I'm no problem, man. And then you get to a point where that you got your hand around your waistband, right? And I pull out my weapon and I go boom, boom, boom. That's 3 bullets at the guy with the gun before he even shoots. The guy with the pipe that's coming at me still, I got time. So I hit the other guy 1, 2 more times. That's 5 rounds. Okay? Now I only have 12, so I've got 7 left. So the guy with the pipe starts running back now. I start aiming at him. Okay, he still has a pipe, but he's running away from me. Now, legally, I think it's still dangerous, so I could shoot him, but I choose not to shoot him in the back because my threat is not imminent. Okay? And he's moving, he's running from me, so I no longer have a threat. And when it goes to a jury trial, I want that to be on my side because I'm not just gung-ho for murdering people or killing people. It's just not murder anyway, it's self-defense. But anyways, he's running away, so at the time I see him, but again, he's running into the darkness, so I think by rights I could shoot him because he's got a weapon. But anyway, he's running, retreating. I think it's a perfect opportunity because the other guy's rolling on the ground. Okay, let's do the speed reload first. In this scenario, I had, let's say I only had 7 bullets in that gun. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, then I did 5, 6, 7 at the guy with the pipe, but I missed, and then it ricocheted off his car, and he started running like hell, which is a possible scenario, okay? So that's all 7 bullets. Guess what happens? My gun is going to look like this. It's going to be like that. If you see your Glock like that, it means feed me, I'm out of bullets. Okay? What's a speed reload? This magazine will be in here. I'm not going to put it in for demonstration purposes because I don't want to be forgetting that there's live ammo and it could get in the round. I could actually be in trouble. So we know that it's empty, so I'm just going to pretend like it's in there. You hit your magazine release. Now this is your life on the line. Speed reload, you don't care about this magazine falling to the ground. Speed reload, once you're alive and the threat's over, you can look around for your magazine. These things are tough. They've been in war and battle, so they can get a little dirty. You just wipe them off and put them back. So you hit the button. This thing comes down. It drops to the ground. You reach in to your fresh magazine, which you should have in a convenient place. I always put my, I'll tell you about retention reload later, but the one we just dropped is on the ground. You take this one out. You're going to put it in, okay? Again, I'm not going to put it in. So that's why it's right. I have it like this. So when I pull it out, I just go like this. So I just up and in like this, up and in like that. So I got my hand on it, taking it out of the pouch. I get the Glock one. It's a combat one. And it like locks in. It's plastic. And it pops right out real easy. Then I'm just going to go right up in here. Boom. And I'm going to go like this and go bang. I'm not going to do it because I don't want this to activate. So here's the thing. I'm telling you, there's people that are professional, way more proficient than I am on skills and everything. And they don't know that you don't have to rack back the slide. Okay? You waste a bullet. I remember in training they showed us. The Glock, when the Glock's in this position, you've got your little release slide for the slide here, right? Once you put your fresh magazine in, you go like that. That's all you have to do. That action of coming back loads a bullet in the chamber, and you're back. That's why Glocks are made this way, so that you could go back, and you're back in action, okay, with very little effort. So basically, speed reload, you don't care about the magazine, you hit the button, it releases, you take out your fresh one, you pop it in, okay? The gun's going to be like this because you ran out of bullets, you hit the release, and you're back on target, okay? And then I see the guy coming at me again with the pipe because he thought I ran out of bullets. Now I got a fresh magazine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I hit him, he's down. So now they're both down. I'm alive to talk about it and tell you this story. America. All right. Now, what's retention reload? Retention reload can be that same situation. Retention reload is a skill you learn when there's a break in the action. Instead of having 2 guys, let's say there's just 1 guy that I know of, and he comes up to me with a knife. Hell with a gun. I just want you to know, by the way, under law, you can shoot somebody with a knife. Did you ever hear people, stupid people that go, why'd you shoot him? He only had a knife. You got a gun. Under the law, a knife can kill you. By the way, I'll tell you this. Under the law, a bat, a blunted object, can kill you. And what I was telling you earlier about the law, it doesn't just say reasonable fear of death. That's the primary reason. But it gives you an out when it says or. The word or is my favorite word in that law. Great bodily harm. Great bodily harm is non-trivial scars. Great bodily harm is being injured in such a way that you never walk the same the rest of your life. Or you can't talk anymore because he hits you in the head so many times you're like a vegetable like this. Right? So you can shoot somebody when they're attacking you pretty much with anything. If they attack you with their bare fists, you might have a problem. But like I use the scenario of a group or a mob of people. If you have a mob of people just with their bare fists, and maybe some nunchucks or something, it is still within your rights to pull out a firearm and to aim it at them and start firing. Because you have a right of self-defense. It's a God-given right, and it's in the law. So what a retention reload is, let's just say there's one guy, he's coming at me with a knife. I have my gun, okay, and I look at him, and I say, what the hell's going on? He says, just get out your wallet, man. I just want your money. And I say, not today, bitch. Boom. Right? I probably wouldn't say that. That's a cool line. But I would say, stand back, man. And if he starts running, I probably wouldn't even shoot him. Okay? Because, again, jury trial, okay? We're the only people that really can never shoot someone in the back. People don't realize this, but policemen have an immunity. They are sworn to uphold the law for the population at large. That's their job. So if someone is running away, even with a knife or a deadly weapon like a bomb, they can shoot them in the back. Now they got to be careful too, because especially with all the tension today, shooting people in the back is probably not wise for them at all right now. But legally they can. They're the only people under the law that can shoot you in the back. You can never shoot anybody in the back. The only scenario where, as a private citizen, you can use your gun and shoot someone in the back is if they're running deeper into your home. So in other words, they're not heading for the exit. If they're running for the door and you shoot them as they're leaving with your PlayStation, not a good scenario. You will most likely lose your right to bear arms and you'll be a felon. And you'll be arrested and probably spend time in jail. Since it's in your home, people will give you the right of, like I said, it's not clearly the castle doctrine. People don't know this too about the law. And I learned this from the police as well. And living in Florida, we all have different laws. I'll tell you this, in Florida, property does not equal life. When it's clearly theft of property, you're not allowed to shoot someone. Okay? I don't care what anybody tells you. If they go, oh, if they're in my house, I shoot the bastard. Yeah, that's all good and well, and it's funny, and it sounds cool. But in actuality, the law is written in such a way, the only time you're allowed to shoot them is when they first come in. Because at that point, you don't know what's going to happen. You have to assume the worst, because they could come in with a bomb. They could come in with a missile. They could come in with a bazooka. They could come in with a machete. They could come in with an AR-15. They could come in with a machine gun. They could come in with a baseball bat. They could come in with a poison cloud. It doesn't matter. It's not up to you to wait for someone to break into your home and say, gee, I wonder what he has. This nice criminal that just broke in. No. Castle Doctrine, if you shoot their ass, as soon as they come through that door, the Castle Doctrine applies 100% of the time, and you won't even be arrested and taken to jail. You can show the gun when the guy comes and say, there's the bastard right there, and a cop will pat you on the back, and you'll be fine. Okay? If you hide in your house somewhere, he grabs your PlayStation and runs for the door, and you shoot him as he's leaving, it's clearly theft of property. And it is clearly not a threat because there's 3 things in the law that you have to use force. And this means non-deadly first, and then deadly force is when it's elevated to reasonable fear of imminent death. But even regular, any kind of force, you need the 3 check marks. And with deadly force, you need the reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm, plus the 3 check marks. The 3 check marks are this. Was the force you used reasonable? Was the force you used necessary? How many things in life are necessary? Food and water? I mean, apart from that, using force is probably most likely never necessary. But when it is, right? And that's why a jury trial decides it. But this is what you don't want. You don't want a bunch of numbskulls counting the 3 things. So you got to have reasonable force. It's got to be reasonable. The reasonable man law is that you have a whole hotel full of people, and you were to ask everyone, hey, this guy did this. Is that reasonable? And if an overwhelming majority, I'm talking 80, 90, 100% of the people say, hell, I'd probably do the same thing. That's considered the reasonable man defense. If the whole hotel says that sounds a little extreme, I don't think he should have done that, you know? Like if a guy pushes me into the wall, okay, and I grab him and I see an oncoming bus and I just push him right into the bus and he gets run over. You won't push me, buddy. See you later. Yeah, that's not reasonable force. So your force has to be reasonable and it's got to be necessary. So when a guy leaving, okay, you've got your gun out, you can see him leaving, you're protected, all right? That's what you got to realize. You've drawn your weapon, it's done its job. He sees you and he runs for the exit. You can't shoot him in the back. That's just the rule. So it's reasonable fear of death, great bodily harm. That's when you can pull out the gun. Regular force, it just has to be reasonable, necessary, and the third thing I keep forgetting to tell you is your threat imminent. Now, even if it was concluded that your force was reasonable, even if it was concluded that it was necessary, which means if you didn't use it, it would be stupid not to use it because it was necessary for you to use it, the third thing will definitely have you done if the guy's running 50 feet away from you, because that's not imminent. Imminent threat cannot be applied to that unless he put a bomb down by your foot and he's running away with the trigger like a detonator. You can shoot his ass. But other than these really unusual circumstances, when generally people are running away from you, you can't shoot them in the back because your threat is no longer imminent. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. What's beautiful about the Castle Doctrine, all those 3 boxes are checked automatically if it falls within the Castle Doctrine rule. And what it is when somebody forcefully and illegally enters your home, by the way, I'll just throw this in there to twist your tail. Some people get mad, but this is the law. They've ruled in the Supreme Court that simply taking a door handle and pushing down on it, if you're a criminal, in other words, you don't live there, you were intended to rob the place, you got like a skull mask on, and just simply you trying the door first and it's unlocked, and you go, hell, I don't have to break in at all. Just that act of forcing the lock is illegal if you don't live there, right? So you don't have to break in either. So believe me, the law's on your side. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. It's already been decided. Simply turning a lock, opening a door that's unlocked, that you left unlocked for some reason, I don't know why, is enough force to shoot the bastard once he enters your house. So the castle doctrine applies as soon as they come in. And the more time they spend in, the castle doctrine starts fading away. And then if they stay in the house for an hour and you're hiding from them, and they're clearly taking your whatever and your prize poodle, and by the way, that's another thing. Your dog is your property. It's not a family member. So it doesn't equal life either under Florida law. I think they kind of should change that. I think animals are like a member of the family. But as it stands right now, they're considered property. And remember, property does not equal life. So if someone steals your dog, you can't shoot them for stealing your dog. So anyways, I went on a lot of things. But let's go back to retention reload. So I'll finish up the video here, and I'll do a field strip of the weapon. So the same scenario, one guy with a knife comes at me, I draw the weapon, and I shoot him because he's running at me with a knife. I miss him, he keeps coming, I miss him again, he keeps coming, I miss him again, he keeps coming, I hit him in the leg, I hit him in the side, he goes down, okay, and then I stop shooting because my threat's over. He's laying there, the knife flew out of his hand after the second hit, and I'm just looking at him on the ground bleeding, okay. I don't feel particularly bad because he was running at me with a knife, and he would have most surely plunged that somewhere in my body, to my flesh. So what retention reload teaches is, let's use the same scenario. I shot how many? Let's say I only had 7 bullets in the magazine for some reason. I didn't load it again. Or let's say it was 15. Either way, I fired 7 times. Okay? Yeah, retention reload, you have some left. So out of the 15, I use up 7. That's about half. Okay? The guy is currently on the ground. But if I take my eyes off him, he could grab the knife and throw it at me or something. And it could stick in my groin or something. Like, ah! Then he could run over and hit me with it. You know, steal my car or whatever. People are like, you know, Jason from Friday the 13th sometimes. So what is a retention reload? Retention reload, your gun's going to look just like this. It's not going to be out of bullets like it was before. It's going to be just like this. And you do have bullets in the gun. But you don't have all of your bullets in the gun because you shot 5 times or 7 times in this situation. So what I do is I remove my magazine, okay? I put it in my front pocket. That's where I keep my retention reload magazines. So these are partially filled magazines that you're not needing right now because isn't it better to have a full magazine than a half magazine? Because what if he has a friend with a gun? Maybe that same guy is sleeping. And he thought he could take me with a knife, but now the guy with the gun's in the truck. And he's going to start firing any second. As of right now, I have no knowledge of that, but I know that there's a break in the action. Retention reload, there's a break in the action. I retreat to cover. Okay, I'll keep my eye on him. I remove my magazine that has partial bullets in it. I put it in my front pocket. I reach back to my loaded magazine. I pull it out and I put it in. Boom. I lock it in. Okay. Do I rack back the slide? In training, we did this, and about half the people in the line rack back the slide. You heard bling, bling, bling. You heard all the bullets. They're dummy bullets. They all still eject like a real bullet. Bling, bling, bling. All the casings hit the ground. It's not like Christmas. Bling, 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 bling. And the guy looked at me, and I said, I shook my head like I didn't do it. And he goes, good job. He pointed at me, good job, good job, good job. There's like 4 of us. It was good. And he said, he picked up the bullet, and he said, why did you guys rack back the slide? They go, I thought we had to do that. Not on retention reload. Retention reload, you got a bullet in the chamber all the time. Remember, it's a semi-automatic. So when you fire, 1 goes in the chamber. You fire, 1 goes in the chamber. Remember, every time, 1 goes in the chamber. He pointed at the bullet that he picked up that you ejected. Okay? He said, this bullet was the bullet that would have saved your life. That sticks in your brain. So that's what I'm saying. Retention reload is cool. So basically, on speed reload, your gun's going to be open. You're going to have it like this. Okay? You're going to eject the magazine. It falls to the ground. You don't care about the magazine because if your life's on the line. Your speed reload. You take your fresh magazine. You pop it in like you mean it. Okay? You You hit the thing like that, you're already loaded. You don't need to rack back the slide. You're back in action, okay? Hardly any time elapsed if you do this right. This is a great thing. You should buy dummy bullets. I've got a whole bunch of them. You load your dummy bullets in the magazine, and they eject like real bullets, and they don't fire. So that's what a skill you can learn by doing dry fire skills with that. You just have to keep racking back the slide to make it work, because it's not going to fire. But it's a very good drill to do. The speed reload. Then the retention reload, it means you've taken care of business. You're like this. You've used a certain amount of bullets, okay? So you're not fully loaded anymore. You might have half a magazine left. Like someone says, you should be very wary of when you draw your weapon, okay? So I might have said earlier you should be quick to draw your weapon. You shouldn't be quick to draw your weapon. I said that wrong. You should draw your weapon only and if your life is on the line or great bodily harm. But what I meant to say is, after you draw your weapon, you don't put it away quickly. That's what I meant to say, and that's true. Because that means you've now proven that your life is on the line or great bodily harm. And you're not sure that it's over yet. So don't just put away your gun and turn your back on the guy that's laying on the ground. You want to keep your gun out and just be aware of your surroundings and listen and be following up with all these skills that you have, which is paying attention to your surroundings and listening and smelling and everything. So retention reload means you take your magazine out, this partially full, put it in your front pocket, take out your full magazine, pop it in. You don't rack back the slide because it's already ready, and you just stay like this. It only took a couple of seconds and you're still ready if you have to get back in the fight. If you don't have to get back in the fight, you call 911. You're the good guy. You're not the aggressor. You're an honest, innocent person trying to pump gas, and you were attacked. The basic thing I've always learned from people that I talk to, you don't talk to the press. You don't say anything to them. You don't say anything. Remember, you have the right to remain silent. You don't say anything to the police. Don't say anything. Don't say anything like, boy, I'm glad I had 2 magazines, and I'm glad that I had my gun, and I was fully loaded. Don't. The law is written in such a way that your words can only be used against you. They never, under law, can be used for you. That's why they warn you. Keep in mind, you have the right to remain silent. They're telling your ass, be quiet. Because your words can and will only be used against you. They won't be used to support you in a court of law. They will be used, anything you've said will be only used against you. That's why you have the right to remain silent. And the old adage is, if you ever have to fire this weapon, the only thing you ever answer is, I feared for my life. I feared for my life. I feared for my life. If you do speak anything, don't say anything. Don't give any divulgence of anything, of how good you are with a gun, of how you did the speed reload, or you knew how to do the retention reload, so I'm okay. I carry lots of bullets, anything like that. Because a good lawyer will use that against you. And that's why a guy told me, don't get the Punisher end cap for the magazine thing, which you can replace these and put like custom ones. People do it, and I'm not going to put down people that do it. But God forbid if you ever use it. See how mine's plain? This is a plain gun, man. This is meant as a tool to save my life. It's not like a plaything. So if I ever were to use it, you're going to see a magazine, very plain. It says Glock on it. You're going to see the G19, and it was used to protect my life. If you take it off and there's the Punisher symbol here, a good lawyer will say, this guy loves Marvel, which I do. He thinks he's the Punisher. What did the Punisher do? Well, he went looking for trouble. He looked for people to shoot because he was that way. That's what I'm saying. Anything can and will be used against you, not for you. So that's my little lesson today. The last thing I'm going to stop with is, you guys have learned a lot because it's taken me years to take some of this stuff in. One of the great things about the Glock is you don't need special tools to field strip your Glock. So what you do is you dry fire. I'm going to show you how to take apart your gun and how easy it is. You have to dry fire it, okay? You're going to take your hand and grab it like this, okay? Like that. You're going to pull back just a little. See that action right there? Just so it goes back a little. Watch. And see these little grooves right here? There's a little groove here, little groove here. When I go back like this, you're going to pull this down. It comes right off. And you got this, the base of the gun. You got your spring. Okay, see how it's dual coil or whatever? And you got your barrel. Very simple, right? Slide your barrel your spring. Okay? And when you were cleaning, you just clean it. You know, I was told don't clean the Glocks too often. A Marine told me from being in the military, being in battle, he said his Glock always fired better dirty. When it's real clean, he didn't like it. So don't let your Glock get excessively dirty. But I would not recommend putting all kinds of stuff in here and solutions and polymer, whatever you call it, not polymer, like, you know, like petroleum and things, and clean this thing to like clean as a pin, because it's kind of dumb. The Glocks actually fire better dirty. So see, you got the slide, got the base of the weapon, you can see the firing mechanism there, the pin, you got your, really, this keeps you from having more recoil. The Gen 4 started having this kind. By the way, the Gen 5 is even better. I think what do they have? It's something special about this too. I think it's made out of a different material. It's stronger. So, yeah, I want to get that G26 because it's a subcompact, not just a compact. This is considered compact with the Glock. But the G26 will be a good ankle holster. It's called a tertiary weapon because people won't realize you have another weapon. In some strange case, if I got surrounded by men, usually it's men that commit crimes, by the way, they'll come around me and they'll say, get his gun off him. And I just go like this, and I can't draw it in time because they got a gun on me or something. I'll know that I got one in my ankle. So what you do is you just give away, go, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't want any trouble, man. They take your gun, you go down to one knee. By the way, you put your ankle holster on your weak side, not on your dominant side. So for a right-handed gun guy, you're going to have it on the inside of your left leg. I've already got one. It's great. But I'm going to be getting the G26 soon. I'll put it back in the opposite order. You have your slide. You take the barrel of the gun. You just put it through the hole. Boom. Right? It kind of comes back and it locks in. You're going to take the round part, the metal, put the plastic part through this little hole. See? And you're going to line up this with the curvature of the metal part in the barrel. Looks like that. Now here, putting it back on is real easy. It has little grooves on either side like that. Right? You see them? The metal things right there? Right? You're going to line that up with these. See? You got little grooves in. Watch. Very simple. Just line it up. Watch. It's back in action, baby. Second Amendment. Live it. I'm going to put it back. Thank you for watching. Sorry for being so verbose.